Okay, folks, and I'm sorry about that. It was an early start to the game, and I was late. But the game's going on. So Fairfield against Militia, and you haven't missed anything yet. Still scoreless. 21-10 left to play in the first half. So I'll try to get you caught up. So slide the puck over to O'Neill, who tries to hit Beck in stride. Devin Beck back after an injury, takes a shot. Goalie's able to bounce it off the pads. O'Neill back up with a puck over to Shunk, slides it over, hits Vigorino in stride, leaves it for Johnston. Johnston tries to get it to Vigorino, unable to do so, and the Militia player turns. Steal by Vigorino behind the net, the Militia net, and turned over in the front. Johnston with the steal. He's got Pan, but shot, and it's deflected off. 20-22 left in the first half.
Let's go, MF!
So we've got Pan, Johnston out there with Vigorino. Win by Militia. They're thrown up to their own blue line. Gaccaro and Hurl back on defense. Militia up with a bounding puck. Gaccaro races back, throws it over to Hurl. Hurl surveys, throws it along the boards. Militia there to keep it back in. And sorry, folks, you have Joe Violante in net. Nice move by the Militia defenseman. Twirls around out in front. Had an open man, just unable to connect. Pan slides it up to Vigorino. Shot, and it's off of the Militia defenseman. Back out to Gaccaro. Gaccaro dances along the blue line, shot along, deflected off the Militia goalie's pads, and turned back over to Gaccaro. Gets it to Vigorino, who dumps it into the corner. LeConte with the steal. The top of the face-off circle. Trying to cycle it with Fairfield, but just a little too much. Low Piano gets it over to Scranton, who's harassed. Kai Scranton across center ice and turns over the puck right above the face-off circle, and the puck skips back to Shunk. Still battling for possession. Low Piano comes up with a loose puck. Gets it over to Ware, over to Scranton. Scranton, shot, and he beats the Militia goalkeeper. Kai Scranton over the shoulder of the Militia goalkeeper. Beautiful shot by Kai Scranton.
Does the replay thing work this year? Probably too late.
And he shot it in a place the goalkeeper, basically, it's almost impossible for them to save. Right on the side of his head, above his shoulder. So Fairfield up early, 1-0. Malefus with the steal, but turns it over. Correa there to help him out. Ludke tries passing it back over to Malefus, a little too strong, and Militia comes out. Deflects off the skate of the Militia player, and we're gonna have an offside there. 18:25 left in the first half. Fairfield up 1-0.
Hey, Greg. Okay.
So Malefus at center, Correa and Ludke. Ludke with the puck. Ludke tries to pass it back, but stolen by Militia. Nice play by Shunk to dislodge the puck temporarily. Here comes Malefus with the puck. Low Piano now. Shot.
What's his name?
You can't see the goalie. If they sit down, then the camera can see the goalie.
What's his name?
Matt. Sorry, folks. We're also trying to direct things as well. And here comes Militia across center ice. Behind Joe. O'Neill's trying to help out. O'Neill up with the puck and slides it out with, let's see, whose help was that? Sorry, Beck's help. Militia and mid-Fairfield fighting for possession. Johnston comes up with a loose puck and turns it over at the blue line. Militia throws it in, but O'Neill's there with a nice feed up to Johnston. Johnston surveys, decides to dump it in, leaves it for Beck. Beck behind the net, wraparound shot off the side of the net. Nice to see Devin Beck back after an injury. Looking super active on the ice tonight. Hurl goes for the steal, the puck goes high up into the air. Militia player is able to drive it in, and then Joe fields it behind his net, but puts a little too much mustard on that puck, and it goes high up into the netting. So we're gonna have a face-off just to Joe's left. 16:47 left in the first half. Mid-Fairfield up 1-0 on a goal from Kai Scranton. Scranton at the face-off circle, win by Militia. Shot, Violante sticks it away. And here comes Scranton. Just a little too long to Figurino, and the puck goes back to Coccaro. Coccaro over to Shunk, who feeds Figurino, turned over at the neutral zone. But here comes Pan with the steal, gets it over to Scranton. Both teams shooting wildly at the puck, but here comes Militia across center ice, dumped in on the Violante. Who's going to stop play here? 16:14 left in the first half. And because this was kind of a disjointed start, folks at home, if you could just let us know that you're seeing it clearly and hearing it clearly, that would be appreciated. Malefus at center. He's got LeConte out there with him. And Ware. Militia with the win, but a steal by Malefus, a little too strong on the pass to Ware, and it goes out to the neutral zone. Smith dumps it in for Militia, but a little too strong again. Both teams a little overeager here. Coccaro dances around, decides now to skate it up. And again, more turnovers in the neutral zone. Shunk throws it out to Malefus. Malefus leaves it for Ware. Meets the defenseman from the Militia and turns it over. Militia decides to skate it out. Gets by Malefus over the blue line. Shot blocked by Lopiano. Into the slot, shot. Joe doesn't see it, but it's high up into the air. Nice save by Violante. Coccaro now back up with the puck, leaves it for Lopiano. Lopiano gets by one Militia player, now trying for two, but the defenseman pulled together tightly and prevent Lopiano from entering the zone. Militia content to dump it behind. Forecheck by Militia. Hurl now up with the puck. Turned over to Militia, shot. It's blocked by Ludke, and the puck dribbles over into Violante's glove to stop play here, 14:40. Okay, and thank you, parents. I just always wondering that I'm here talking by myself. So I'm glad it's getting back there. Militia with the win, shot, but blocked. Turns around, fires onto Violante wildly. Joe's able to turn it to the side. Hurl now off in the corner, leaves it for Johnston. Leaves it for Ludke. Ludke across center ice, back to Johnston. And they're gonna call an offside there. Johnston had to turn around behind him to get the pass from Ludke And at that point, Jackson had gone over the blue line. So 14:21 left in the first half. Mid-Fairfield up 1-0. Johnston at center. He's got Correa and Lukey out there. Shunk dumps in. He's got O'Neill with him on the blue line. And we're going to have a stoppage in play here. And I believe this is going to come down to the mid-Fairfield end. And the ref admonishing Cullen Correa for something. But no penalty. And Cullen's smiling, so it couldn't have been that bad. So we'll reboot there. Win by Militia out to the mid-Fairfield blue line. Shot blocked off the Militia player. Correa digging at it, trying to get it to Lukey, but we're going to have another one of these wonderful offside calls. So Scranton was at the face-off, another win by Militia, and dumped in. Shunk with that long stick pokes it, but a Militia player right there to get it. Turned over right in front, out in front of Violante, who's able to come up with a puck. So mid-Fairfield living a little dangerously there, giving Militia a couple of bites at the apple, and Violante is able to stop play here at 13:47. Scranton at the face-off circle. He's got Beck out there with him. And Lucas Ruff as well. Ruff now tries to thread the needle. Finally gets it to Beck, who dumps it in. Mid-Fairfield up with it. Here comes Scranton now. Thought he had some skating room. Slides it over to Shunk. Comes in, and it's gloved by the Militia goalkeeper. 13:24 left in the first half. Mid-Fairfield up 1-0. So Malefus comes out with Pan and Figurino. Cuccaro and Pearl manning the blue line. Win by Militia again. They've won a lot of face-offs so far in the first half. But turned over in the neutral zone. Cuccaro slides it over to Hurl. It's stolen by Militia. It turned over at the blue line again, and here comes mid-Fairfield. Figurino now, and he's hammered into the boards, loses control of the puck. Mid-Fairfield battling for it is Malefus. Leaves it for Figurino. Shot, pad saved by the goalkeeper. Figurino throws it back out to Hurl, to Malefus, and it's in! Beautiful, crisp passing by mid-Fairfield. Extended their lead 2-0. So Johnston up with LeConte and Ware up front. Cuccaro and Pearl on D. Ware trying to get things under control to Johnston. Puck skips off into the corner. Johnston trying to gain possession, but Militia back up with it behind their own net. Ware gives chase, stick lifts. Butler now circles around with it from Militia. Gets his own pass, but loses it temporarily to Hurl. Hurl and Butler going at it in the corner. And Cuccaro comes out with the puck, but turns it over to himself. Here comes Militia back up with the puck. Mid-Fairfield all over them, though. Cuccaro leaves it for LeConte. Cuccaro content to dump it into the corner. Mid-Fairfield goes for a shift change. And Militia a little too strong on it. Turns it over to Lopiano. Lopiano with a great pass to LeConte. LeConte tries to get a shot, but I believe the stick was lifted by the Militia player. LeConte throws it out in front. Lopiano unable to keep it in the zone, and here comes the Militia player. That's the thing about this Militia team. What happened in the last game is they just kept hanging around, driving Mid-Fairfield crazy, and ended up winning the game. They are all over Mid-Fairfield right now. Mid-Fairfield doing a good job, though, passing the puck. And here comes Ludke now, who gains the Militia zone. All right, we're gonna have a stoppage in play here. 10:57 left in the first half.
Go MF!
And the ref is fiddling with the post on the net. So we'll reload here again. We got Scranton, the face-off, and they're gonna, finally we got a win by Mid-Fairfield on the face-off, but they're gonna call it a redo here. In fact, the ref's gonna throw Scranton out of the circle and put Correa in. The win by Mid-Fairfield is Shunk now up with a loose puck. Dumps it into the corner. Correa goes off. So Scranton along the boards, leaves it for Lopiano. Lopiano's trying to thread the needle over to Ludke, a little too strong on the pass. Ludke and one of the Militia players going at it, but the rest, to their credit, let it go on. Lopiano's shot that's blocked off a couple of players. Still fighting for possession of both teams, and finally the puck comes out. Shunk uses that long stick to dump it back in again. Mid-Fairfield still fighting for possession. Militia, a very active team on the puck. O'Neill, oh wow! So Sawyer O'Neill fields the puck up in the air, takes a shot.
Names yet.
10:02 left in the first half, and Mid-Fairfield able to go up 3-0. So Malefus at center, he's got Beck and Ruff with him. O'Neill and Hurl out there. So O'Neill tries to thread the needle to Beck. It's a little too much on it. And as I said, folks, I was caught a little a little short here on my preparation for the game. Game started early and I was late, so we'll have to make that up to you. I know there's some technical difficulties, mostly which are my fault, but we'll bring you the action nonetheless. So Malefus at center, Militia with a win. Shot out loose out in front, bounced off of Violante, swept away by the Mid-Fairfield defenseman, but Militia back up with it. Oh, nice play by Lucas Ruff. Wraps his stick around the player and pokes it free to come out of the zone. So Malefus and O'Neill passing back and forth, and the puck now back in the Militia zone. Beck with a forecheck. Beck pounding the Militia player, and it's turned over. O'Neill's got to race down to his own zone, throws it over to Hurl. Hurl gets it to Ruff. Just trying to connect to up to the wingers. Nobody home. Violante stops the puck, throws it along the glass, but Militia there, shot. Oh, off of Violante's pad, and it's stick to the side. Mid-Fairfield pinned in their own zone a little bit here. Militia causing all kinds of problems. Shot way wide is Ward with the shot from Militia. Puck goes over the head of Violante. Militia still with the puck though. Butler chases it from Militia. Leaves it for his defenseman. Tries to cycle it around a little too much. Ward now there from Militia. Cycling the puck well. Ward out in front, almost had a shot. Nice play by Hurl, though, to deny. And they're going to throw it the length of the ice. Is Ian Hurl with a wise decision there. Because Militia was all over mid-Fairfield, causing all kinds of problems. So Johnston is back out there with his line. Sorry about that, folks. And the puck skips out of the mid-Fairfield zone. Pan gives chase. He's got Figurino in the middle. But Militia with the steal. Across center ice is Butler. Nice play by Shunk to deny the pass in the slot. Figurino now up with it. Leaves it for Pan. Pan now is hounded by two players. Leaves it for Johnston. Johnston behind the net. Out to Shunk, who winds up. Shot way wide. Loose out in front. Picaro able to keep it in. Picaro cycles the puck around. Shot way wide. It's Johnston's shot. Shunk able to keep it in, though. Gives it to Figurino. Over to Johnston. Back over to Picaro. Shot by Pan goes way wide. And kept in by mid-Fairfield again. Beautiful play by Shunk to keep it in. Figurino now at the top of the key, dances around, backhand, and it's saved. Now to the opposite side, Picaro able to push it back in. Again, nice play by Shunk to keep it in. Militia desperate for a shift change, but mid-Fairfield unable to take advantage of it. They had Militia pinned in. Oh, the referee got in the way of the Militia player. Lecoq with a shot, and it's in! Boy, mid-Fairfield with a lot of puck luck there. Kant is the beneficiary there, who scoops up the puck and just beats the Militia goaltender cleanly. So that's going to be LeConte unassisted. And I believe that's his first goal of the year. So it's 6:33 left in the first period. And Militia's going to take a timeout here. This game going very differently than the first game Militia played against Mid-Fairfield.
Scoreboard and then the benches are
So Mid-Fairfield able to get a lot of puck luck on at least two of their goals and go ahead 4-0 over Militia. So you got to see Coach TR's head go through the camera. All right, so after the Militia timeout here, so you've got Scranton at the face-off. He's out there with LeConte, where LeConte now up with the puck. Leaves it for Lopiano. Tries leaving it for Ware. And the puck goes off into the Mid-Fairfield bench. So Malefus at center, he's got Lutke out there with him. And Correa. Malefus over to Lutke. Tries to slide it to Correa, but Militia there with the steal. Cross center ice, dumps it in at Violante, it's blocker to side. So apparently there's going to be a delayed penalty on Militia. I don't think the goalkeeper knew it, And yeah, that's about the third time Mid-Fairfield's touched the puck. But 5:51 left. We're gonna have our first penalty of the game. So Malefus is gonna go for a slash. So Mid-Fairfield's gonna have its #1 penalty kill out there. They've got Correa, Shunk, O'Neill, and Ludke. Pass up to Ludke. But Militia able to deny that shot attempt. And here comes Militia across center ice. Looks to set up shop here. Shot by the defenseman and blocked. Militia now looking for that shooting lane. Ward with a shot. Gets misdirected. Unable to hit the net. Ward up with it. Slides it over. O'Neill's trying to get it to Ludke. And O'Neill and Ludke working together. Still unable to get it out. Finally nope. He's still not able to get it out. Nice block by O'Neill again. And Ludke just overskates it there. Looked like he was gonna have a breakaway opportunity. Ward now back up with the puck from Militia. Ward back up at the top of the key. Shot, blocked. Another block. Here's Ludke with it. Throws it out of the zone. And we're gonna have an issue here. Okay, the ref's talking to somebody on the Mid-Fairfield bench. So Mid-Fairfield all right, and Cullen Correa says, what, me? He's hiding on the other side of the bench, so Mid-Fairfield is going to be down 2 players now for the next 46 seconds. So Hurl is out there with Ruff and Kakaro. Lucas Ruff is going to take the face off. Ref's got something to say to Violante. So you wonder if the penalty has something to do with Joe, because the ref clearly wanted somebody who had been just on the ice, but the ref gives him a pat. So we'll try to find out what that was for you. Win by Militia. The top of the face-off circle. Ward now up with the puck. Shot. Looked like it deflected off of Violante. Got it, just able to tip it. Another shot. Blocked off a couple of players and through the mouth of the goal. Violante was down, but luckily slid through harmlessly. Ward now up with it. Shot. A nice block by Violante. Ward again with a shot. And another block by Violante. So 4 seconds left in the penalty to Malefus. You got to think Yanni will come straight out onto the ice. 1:19 left in the penalty to Correa. Although I suspect maybe it wasn't against Cullen. We'll have to find that out. Johnston at center. Johnston with the win. And it's tipped out. So actually Malefus heads to the bench. Beck comes out with Johnston, Pearl, and Kakaro. So Mid-Fairfield kills off the first penalty. Beck thought about trying to tip that out. Beck now is able to slide the puck out. So Devin Beck with a very active first half, back from injury. playing well. So here comes Militia, full head of steam. Johnston able to get a stick on the puck and knock it back in the Militia zone. Militia now with a turnover at center ice. And Fairfield going for the steal, shot. High up into the air, Militia back in control of it. Ward back with the puck. Shot onto Violante, stick to side. And here comes Beck again, who's able to get the puck out. And Ward slides it back in for Militia. Earl gives chase. And Scranton's there to pick up the loose puck. Scranton's able to tip it out, and the penalty's expired. So Mid-Fairfield able to kill off a 5-on-3 effectively. Oh, but tipped by Caccaro. Here comes a shot by Militia. And the puck's turned over in the Militia zone. So folks, just as a reminder, in these games, they'll do the ice cut in between the first and second half. So this should be probably Scranton out there with LeConte and Figurino, low piano and Shunk out on defense. Militia able to gain the zone, but steal by Scranton and slides it over a little too strong to LeConte, who circles back and turns it over. But low piano there to bail out his teammate. Oh, out in front is Militia, but a little too strong on it. Low piano now across center ice. Low piano gets by the defenseman. Nobody there for Mid-Fairfield to help out. Figurino now up with it. Slides it over to Scranton. Shot. This is the net. Shunk gets on his horse and gets over there in time to throw it over there. But a steal by Militia. Turned right back over to Mid-Fairfield. 1:08 left. LeConte now up with the puck. Leaves it for Figurino. Cross center ice. Scranton now up with it, but here comes Militia now. Races down the ice. Petropoulos with the steal. Leaves it for O'Neill. Petropoulos back up with it. It turns it over again at center ice. Mid-Fairfield looks to get it out. LeConte absorbs a hit. LeConte still with the puck, still battling along the glass, and finally goes over to O'Neill, who gets it over to Ware. Malefus dances around center ice, but here comes Militia now. They're gonna have a 2-on-1 if they hurry. Shot blocked by Hurl. Pan now up with the puck, turns it over at center ice. Pan now with the puck, backhands, kicked to the side by the Militia goalkeeper. Malefus battling for possession. All right, folks, and that's the end of the first half. So it looks like we're gonna have a, yeah, we will. We'll have about a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back with you shortly.
We were able to fix the levelness. You did that? How did you do that?
Kevin did. Something down here.
I need to be shown. Something
Kevin
down
did.
here?
Right here. This thing.
It's
See right in the screen. Where I'm up.
Oh.
You can't stand there. That's not gonna work.
All right. I'll go relax. I'm done my.
Okay, and welcome back to the second half. Mid-Fairfield up 4-0 over East Coast Militia. We've got Kai Scranton at the face-off circle with Correa and Lutke. And win by Militia that's thrown into the Mid-Fairfield zone. Whistles around the boards. Militia gets there first. Scranton races over for the puck. Scranton dances around. Hurl throws it over to Correa, who's able to dump it in. Militia looks to break it out of their own zone and does, cross center ice. Muhammad is able to fire it over to a teammate and dumps it in behind Violante. Nice move by Scranton to get the puck out. But Butler's there from Militia. The puck turned over to Hurl, over to Lopiano. Lopiano back to Hurl, who throws it to Ludke. He was content just to dump in. Malefus with a forecheck, turned it over. Ludke there with the errant puck. Leaves it to Beck, over to Malefus. Malefus looking to get things settled down, goes behind Violante. Ruff and Malefus unable to connect. Militia turns it over to Ruff, over to Malefus. Little strong over to Beck. Beck's able to recover the puck. O'Neill shoots, a little too strong. The puck's turned back over to Ruff. Throws it back to Shunk. Shunk forced to retreat, knocks it over to O'Neill. O'Neill, long pass, unable to connect to Ruff cleanly, and turns it over to Militia. Back in through the neutral zone. Agnello now fights with O'Neill for the puck. Turns it over to mid-Fairfield. Oh, and here comes Reese Johnson with a breakaway. Johnson with a shot that's turned away by the Militia goalkeeper. Figurino now tries to get it to Beck, but here comes Militia now across center ice and turns it over. Figurino now. And they're going to call, I believe, an offside there on mid-Fairfield. Just an over-eager winger. 20:06 left in the second half. Oh, and I apologize, folks. They're calling a penalty on Reese Johnston there. So in 20:06, mid-Fairfield's going to go on the penalty kill. You have Caccaro out there with Hurl. Scranton and Figurino as your penalty killers. Win by Militia. Ward now up with it. Ward dances along, throws it back to the top of the key. Back out to Ward on the blue line. Ward back up with it again, shoots, misfires. And here comes Caccaro, who's able to tap it out to Scranton. Scranton and Ward going at it. Scranton gets there first, but only two Militia players able to get there to recover the puck. Militia now gains the zone. Scranton gets there in time though. The puck goes behind to Violante. Ward back up with it from Militia, slides it over. Cross ice pass. Ward back up with it again. Shot off of Joe's chest and Violante's chest and swept away by mid-Fairfield. Pressured by Figurino. Ward slides it over. Shot. Blocker saved by Violante. Militia back up with the puck though behind Violante. Pressured by Figurino. Scranton and Figurino out at the top. Ward now up with it. Shot. Shoots wildly. Kept in though. And the pass is what comes out. So you have Figurino trying to get it up to Scranton, but a little too strong. Johnson now from Militia up with the puck. Shot saved by Violante, and then the rebound is poked in by Militia. So Militia able to cash in on the mid-Fairfield indiscretion. And at 18-19, Militia finally able to cut into the lead by mid-Fairfield. So Malefus will come out. He's got LeConte and Ware up front. Lopiano and Shunk manning the blue line. Win by mid-Fairfield. LeConte over to Lopiano. Over to Shunk. Back to LeConte. LeConte circles back. Gets the puck up to Ware. Ware's got nobody there, but takes a shot deflected off the pads of the goalkeeper. Puck now skips behind the Militia goalkeeper and off into the opposite side. Ware able to keep it in temporarily, but Militia still controls the puck. Shunk using that long stick to dislodge it temporarily. Shot onto Violante. He's not able to glove it cleanly, but luckily Ware and Lopiano there. Shunk digging at it with Lopiano, and Malefus comes out with it somehow, but it's sticked aside, but Malefus comes back up with the puck. LeConte dumps it in for mid-Fairfield. Militia looks to reload. Harassed by LeConte the whole way down is Butler, and Lopiano comes up with the errant pass. Lopiano dances around, but stolen by Ward. Shot and beats Violante over the shoulder. And just like that, Militia has cut into the mid-Fairfield lead. So mid-Fairfield started off the half up 4-0 and 2 straight goals by Militia. Costly turnover by mid-Fairfield, and Ward is able to cash in. Ward has been all over the ice in the second period, the second half, and he's going to get rewarded by his coach again from Militia. So win by Militia, dumped in onto Violante. He skips off behind him. Violante throws it high up off the glass, but out to the Militia defenseman. It's stolen by mid-Fairfield, a little too strong by O'Neill, and that's going to cause an icing. O'Neill's trying to feed Johnston in stride, but just a little too much on the pass. So Johnston will be at the center position. He's got Pan out there with him, and Figurino shot that's sticked aside by Violante. Here comes Pan across center ice, but Witt's on the shot. Figurino's there, but they're going to call that an offside. Figurino was tied up along the board by the Militia bench. Pan unable to hit the brakes in time, causing an offside. So Scranton at center. Win by mid-Fairfield. Correa sneaks in, steals the puck, but it's tapped back out, back into the mid-Fairfield zone by the Militia players. Militia all over mid-Fairfield the last 5 minutes. Sorry about that, folks. Shunk up with the puck and dumped in. Leaves it for Lutke. Lutke in the corner. Thrown to the opposite side, and Militia back up with the puck. Shunk now winds up, big shot. Nice save by the Militia goalkeeper. He had Correa out in front of him. So 15-54. And Fairfield up early 4-0, but Militia with the last 2 goals to cut it in half, 4-2. Scranton up front at the center. He's got Correa. Lutke up front, Picaro and Shunk on D. Militia with the win, hounded by Correa, but Militia breaks it out. And now we're going to have a penalty here. So behind the play, I believe Correa was going at it with one of the Militia players. And they're going to call the elbow on Militia. So Correa able to draw the penalty from Militia. It's one part of Cullen Correa's game that has gotten exponentially better over the years. Cullen, a very active player, but now drawing penalties from the opposition with that Cullen's got that sandpaper style of play and turned back over. So Caccaro looks to reset. But turned over at center ice and dumped in by Militia. Violante tries to field it, and Militia comes back up with it. Scranton just trying to settle things down here. Lukey now up with it. Lukey and Ruff and Scranton. Shot. Scranton up with a rebound. Scranton looks to set things up. Slides it over to Caccaro. Caccaro back to Scranton. He's got Malefus, the face-off circle shot, misses the net. Caccaro races over, keeps it in the zone. Caccaro over to Scranton. And he's tied up by the Militia player. Ruff joins the fray. Mid-Fairfield comes out with it as Lukey. Scranton slides it back over to Malefus. Over to Scranton. Scranton comes in, shot off the pad of the goalkeeper and thrown out the length of the ice. Violante comes out. Oh, and it's stolen and shot! Credit the Militia player. Violante tried passing it out to his winger and stolen by the Militia player, throws it in an empty net. So 4-3. Militia stormed back here with 3 straight goals.
They're going to change the mojo.
And so Mid-Fairfield's going to take a timeout here. So not only was it was a shorthanded goal by Militia. So you can see the Militia coach urging on his team to keep the gas pushed on Mid-Fairfield. Mid-Fairfield with a couple of unforced errors. So still a power play for Mid-Fairfield with 34 seconds left. And that, 14-19 left in the second half. Scranton up front with Lukey and Ruff. Caccaro dumped back on, Malefus back on D. And win by Militia and thrown into the Mid-Fairfield zone. Malefus now up with it. Malefus using that speed, crisscrosses with Ruff, and he's hauled down, but no call. Oh, and it is going to be a, delayed call off in the corner. So Mid-Fairfield with a 5-on-3 for the next 10 seconds. And then another power play. You just see that speed by Yanni Malefus demonstrated right there. Malefus looks over to Ruff, shot! Oh, I don't see what's going to happen there.
That's terrible.
A lot of puck luck at the beginning of the game, the first half even, but right there, that puck was headed in, but the goalie was able to kick off the post.
Perfect now.
So Mid-Fairfield will go on a power play here, 13:43 left. So you've got Hurl and Lopiano back on defense, and Militia wins the face-off, goes right back to Violante, and Lopiano dances behind Violante, leaves it for LeConte, throws it up to Hurl, up to Johnston. Johnston looks to get set up, over to Hurl, over to Johnston. Johnston surveys, throws it to Lopiano, over to Johnston, to Hurl, back to Lopiano. Lopiano's shot out in front is LeConte, loose. So again, the goalie's net. I can't really complain about that one. So, but Mid-Fairfield was able to move the puck around, but unable to put it past the Militia goalkeeper. Scranton now at center. Win again by Militia. Mid-Fairfield still battling for possession. Cuccaro up with it. Cuccaro slides it over to Scranton. Scranton's met by a Militia player. Along the blue line and forced out by the Militia player who's hobbled, but nonetheless fighting Mohammed from Militia. Boy, you got to credit these Militia players. They are coming at it. And again, another short-handed goal. Mid-Fairfield. Still a power play for Mid-Fairfield. Lopiano back up with it across center ice. Big hit by Correa. And Beck now behind. Beck leaves it for Correa. Back over to Hurl. Over to Johnston, but a little too strong. And Militia is able to dump it in behind Violante. Hurl now up with the puck. Ward able to keep it in the zone temporarily, but here comes Correa across center ice. 3 seconds left in the penalty. Correa with a shot that's stomached by the Militia goalkeeper. So 11:42 left. Mid-Fairfield giving up 4 straight goals. It's got to stop the bleeding here. 2 of them short-handed. Malefus back at center along with Pan and Figurino, O'Neill and Shunk. Again, another win by Militia on the face-off. It's been Mid-Fairfield's Achilles' heels all evening. Give and go passing. Shot onto Violante that's pinned under his pad. 11:20 left in the second half. Scranton, the face-off circle. Mohammed with a shot. Oh, sorry, that wasn't Mohammed. I apologize about that. The Militia player whipped on the shot. And here comes Militia out of their own zone through the neutral zone. And Correa's going to go off there for the hook. Second half, and now he's going to have to kill off a 2-minute penalty to Cullen Correa.
Let's go, MF!
So your penalty killers, you have Cuccaro and Ruff, Malefus, and Hurl out there. Win by Malefus. Nice play by Ruff to force the puck deep into the Militia zone. Ruff flies down there, but Militia gets there first. But Ruff's still all over the puck carrier. Finally, Militia able to break it out across center ice. Gains the Mid-Fairfield zone. Nice play by Hurl to stick lift. But Militia back up with it. An errant pass throws it out of the zone. Malefus now gives chase. The Militia player took it for granted. Malefus steals the puck, but then turns it back over to Militia. Mohammed now gains the zone from Militia over to Ward. Tries to get it to Ward. Changed his mind. Nice save by Violante off the shoulder to keep it out of the net. Militia with a golden scoring chance right there, but credit Violante for keeping his eye on the puck that time, keeping it out of the net. Militia looks to get set up with 40 seconds left. Beck out there and is able to force it out. Devin Beck flies down the ice, harassing the puck carrier, and it's nice pass. Shot saved by Violante. Still, Militia all over mid-Fairfield here. Puck skips over the opposite side. Beck now up with the puck. Lopiano fields the puck, throws it over to Shunk. Tries to feed Beck cleanly. Still battling for possession. And here comes Lopiano, who turns it back over to Butler from Militia. And the puck goes into the mid-Fairfield bench. 8:40 left in the second half. We're all tied up here. 4 apiece.
Let's go, MF!
So you've got Johnston out there with Correa and Ludke. O'Neill and Hurl as your defenseman. And another win by Militia, dumped right in onto Violante. O'Neill gives chase. Correa now up with the puck, tries to get it over to Johnston, but credit the stick work of the Militia player to keep it back in there. So we'll have another face-off in the mid-Fairfield zone. Johnston's going to take the face-off here. And win by Militia, but contested by mid-Fairfield. Loose out in front. Militia getting it all those 50-50 pucks. So we're going to have some pushing and shoving here. See, looks like there's a penalty on O'Neill, but I believe there should be a penalty on Militia as well. So O'Neill's going to head to the box, and the refs are talking about it. There's a clear cross-check right in front of the ref. Okay, and the refs are going over to the Militia bench. And the Militia player, I believe, is, no? There's no penalty on Militia, despite the fact that it's a clear as day cross-check as retaliation, but the ref's not going to call it.
No, sir, not. Another.
Oh, no, here we go. So, no, they are going to put somebody in the box, all right? So what they're doing, they're calling it a major penalty on O'Neill.
5 each and an extra 2.
There seems to be some confusion here. So we're going to skate 5 aside. They're going to call the major penalty on O'Neill. But
5-on-5.
okay, so we're going to call an extra. That was about as clear as mud. But bottom line is Militia's going to be going on a power play here. Lutke now is able to throw it out the length of the ice. So critical juncture of the game here. Mid-Fairfield is going to have to kill off another penalty. Oh, almost stolen by Malefus. Cross center ice, but now Militia's got things set up. Shot, and it beats Violante. So just like that, Mid-Fairfield. All day is down. And because it's a major penalty, I believe Mid-Fairfield is going to be down still a player. No? Okay, I apologize, folks. So looks like they got that straightened out. So there are 5 players for Mid-Fairfield. So Johnston, but again, another win by Militia, but turns it right over to Hurl for Mid-Fairfield. Low piano up with the puck. Gets it over to Ruff. A little too strong to Johnston. So Mid-Fairfield a little stunned here. Butler now tries to feed his teammate Quinn, unable to connect. Out in front, but only Ruff there. Ruff back with the puck. He's got Beck with him. Leaves it for Johnston, shot wide. Low piano races in, tries to keep the puck in, unable to do so. Ruff out there, dumps it in. Delayed offside. Mid-Fairfield goes for the shift change. And turned over to Hurl. Hurl over to Scranton. Scranton across the blue line, over to Pan, shot. And it's gloved by the Militia goalkeeper. 6:23 left in the second period. Militia up by 1 over Mid-Fairfield. So you got Scranton, Pan, Figurino out there with Caccaro and Shunk. Win by Mid-Fairfield. Figurino with a shot off the pad of the goalkeeper. Caccaro able to keep the puck in with Figurino. Scranton now up with it. Loose out in front. Shot by Pan. And thrown the length of the ice. And that should be an icing there. 6:03 left.
I think it was a 5-minute major.
So you got Pan at center with Scranton and Figurino. Mid-Fairfield with a win. Caccaro now up with it. Shot way wide of the net. Shunk comes in, able to throw it back in, but only Militia players there. The Militia player falls down, but gets it to a teammate. Caccaro now turns it over at center ice. Militia back up with it. Mohammed now shot way wide. Militia now trying to get it to Violante, but Mid-Fairfield breaks it out. hand, slides it over to Kakaro. Kakaro's shot right into the stomach of the goalkeeper. 5:18 left in the second half. Mid Fairfield down by a goal.
It didn't change anything, so I might as well take a picture.
Malefus at center. He's got LeConte out there and Ware. Lopiano and Hurl win by Militia. Here comes Militia across center ice, dumps it in. LeConte now up with it, back over to Hurl. Over to Ware. Lopiano trying to get it over to Hurl, finally does. LeConte now up with it, gains the zone, but loses the puck. Puck thrown high up into the air. Malefus slash. Malefus still with the puck though. Out to Hurl, back to LeConte, high up in the air as Malefus dances around. Digging at the puck is Malefus, but a turnover right to Militia, cross center ice and dumped in on Mid Fairfield. 4:15 left to play. And pinned off into the corner. Turned over by Militia, and here comes Ludke, cross center ice, dumps it in. Good forecheck by Mid Fairfield, but Militia content to waste time here. Cross ice pass. Quinn now on O'Neill, turns it over, and here comes Scranton. Scranton across center ice, dumps it in. Mid Fairfield gives chase. Lukey now throws it back out to Shunk. Big shot off the pad. O'Neill with a bounding puck, loose out in front. Lukey back up with it. Lukey now into the corner. Scranton now up with it. Scranton with a shot, bounced off the goalkeeper, loose out in front. O'Neill pinches in. O'Neill behind the net, along with a couple of Militia players. And Militia throws it out. And it's Shunk tried to keep it in the zone, but Militia throws it the length of the ice. 2:55 left to play. Mid Fairfield down by a goal. So Ruff, Beck, and Figurino out there with Lopiano and Hurl. Another win by Militia on the face-off and dumped into the zone. Hurl able to get back there, harassed the whole way down, leaves it for Ruff. Ruff slides it over to Figurino, back over to Beck. Beck tries to split the defenseman and is fielded by the goalkeeper into the corner, over to Hurl. Hurl throws it in the opposite corner. Lopiano keeps it in though, and they're going to call it offside. So the Mid Fairfield fans unhappy that the ref who couldn't see the offside made the call, but nonetheless.
Let's give them the whistle.
So now they're going to move, they're going to call a penalty on Mid Fairfield here, which could ill afford that on the bench. Mid Fairfield bench unhappy with the call. And now Ware is going to head to the penalty box. And so for the final 2 minutes out of the 28, 2:25, Militia is going to be on a power play here. Ward up with it. Militia just content to waste time here. Ward back up with it. Mohammed with a shot, and he beats Violante over the shoulder. So 1:48 left. 1:48 left, and Militia's gone up by 2. So Malphus at center. O'Neal a little too strong over to Shunk. And here comes Malphus. Malphus across center ice. Malphus gets it to Johnston, and it's held by the Militia goalkeeper. So they've pulled Violante. So Malphus at center. Caccaro and Lopiano are your defensemen. And it's going to go the length of the ice and just misses the net. So Malphus back at center. Win by Mid-Fairfield, but turned over to Militia. They gain the puck. Butler skates around with it. Lopiano comes up with the errant pass over to Caccaro. Caccaro across center ice and runs into Johnston. Fairfield just not talking here. Over to Lutke, over to Malphus, shot. Lutke misses the net. Caccaro not able to keep it in, and it's going to go the length of the ice. Lopiano gives chase. 36 seconds left. Lopiano was unable to, he loses his stick, and Caccaro now up with it. Caccaro cross ice over to Johnston, over to Scranton. Scranton hits the brakes, loses the puck. Johnston now over to Caccaro, back over to Hurl, shot blocked, and the puck's out, and that's it, folks. 7 seconds left. Now you got a bunch of pushing and shoving. So Malphus is going to head to the box here. Usually you don't see that kind of frustration on Yanni. So the ref is wisely going to send both players out of the game right now. Just for the last 6 seconds.
Good job, ref. Good job.
So we will see you tomorrow